Police Academy turned total chaos into comedy. Sirens, pranks, ridiculous recruits, and a cast so wild they made being unqualified look unforgettable. It was loud, silly, and impossible not to laugh at. But 42 years later, the story behind those familiar faces is full of surprising turns, changed careers, quiet exits, and losses many fans still feel today. Now, let's open the Academy files and see what happened to the cast of Police Academy. Carrie Mahoney, charming, quick-witted, and reckless enough to turn every police exercise into hilarious chaos, quickly became the heart of Police Academy. Steve Guttenberg, 25 when the film was released, brought confidence, humor, and enough cleverness to keep Lieutenant Harris constantly frustrated. After the movie's success, Guttenberg became a major face of 1980s comedy. He starred in popular films including Cocoon, Short Circuit, and 3 Men and a Baby. Now 67, he remains active in entertainment and is still closely associated with the role that made him famous. Mahoney remains beloved because he was more than a troublemaker. Beneath the jokes and rebellion, he always stood by his friends and challenged unfair authority. That mix of humor, loyalty, and easygoing charm keeps Carrie Mahoney alive in the memories of fans who grew up with the film. Commandant Eric Lassard, gentle, dignified, and amusingly unaware of the chaos surrounding his academy, brought a softer kind of humor to Police Academy. George Gaynes, 66 when the film was released, added warmth, elegance, and perfect comic timing to every confused glance and absent-minded decision. Beyond the franchise, Gaynes enjoyed a long career across film, television, and theater. Audiences also knew him from Punky Brewster and his memorable role in Tootsie. He died in 2016 at the age of 98, leaving behind decades of performances filled with charm and quiet humor. Lassard is still loved because his kindness gave the Academy a sense of heart amid all the madness. George Gaynes made authority feel gentle, funny, and deeply human. His calm presence remains one of the franchise's warmest memories, ensuring that Commandant Lassard will never be forgotten. Sergeant Debbie Callahan, confident, commanding, and tougher than nearly every cadet in the Academy, made an immediate impression in Police Academy. Leslie Easterbrook, 34 when the film was released, brought sharp authority, physical confidence, and enough presence to silence a room before saying a word. Leslie Easterbrook later built a varied career across television, comedy, and horror, appearing in productions such as Baywatch, Murder, She Wrote, and The Devil's Rejects. Now 76, she remains closely associated with the strength and fearless energy that made Callahan stand out. Callahan is still admired because she proved that discipline, confidence, and humor could exist in the same character. Leslie Easterbrook gave the role both toughness and personality, creating one of the franchise's strongest female figures and a lasting favorite among longtime fans. Leslie Barbara, shy, awkward, and constantly bullied before joining the Academy, became one of the film's most satisfying underdogs. Donovan Scott, 37 when the movie was released, brought warmth, vulnerability, and enough quiet courage to make Barbara's transformation both funny and rewarding. Donovan Scott later appeared in films and television projects including Sheena, Back to the Future Part 3, and Life with Lucy. Today, he is 79 and remains fondly connected to the gentle recruit who gradually learned how to stand up for himself. Barbara remains memorable because his story gave the comedy real heart. His journey from nervous outsider to courageous cadet reminded audiences that bravery does not always begin with confidence. Donovan Scott made that transformation warm, believable, and easy to cheer for. Lieutenant Thaddeus Harris, strict, arrogant, and determined to force the unwanted cadets out of his academy, became the perfect target for Mahoney's pranks. G.W. Bailey, 39 when the film was released, brought rigid authority, explosive frustration, and enough comic intensity to make every setback hilarious. G.W. Bailey later earned a new generation of fans through The Closer and Major Crimes, where his dry humor and commanding presence remained major strengths. Currently 81, he is celebrated for a career filled with tough characters, sharp reactions, and memorable comic timing. Harris remains one of the franchise's most entertaining figures because every attempt to control the Academy only created more chaos. G.W. Bailey turned anger, pride, and constant frustration into comedy gold, making the hot-tempered lieutenant a character audiences love to watch lose. Larvell Jones, playful, inventive, and able to recreate almost any sound with his voice, became one of the most original cadets in Police Academy. Michael Winslow, 25 when the film was released, brought extraordinary vocal control, sharp comic timing, and enough imagination to turn even an ordinary moment into chaos. Michael Winslow continued working across film, television, and live comedy, appearing in projects such as Spaceballs, while becoming famous as the man of 10,000 sound effects. As of now, he is 67 and still entertains audiences with the remarkable vocal talent that shaped his career. Jones remains beloved because no other character could create laughter in quite the same way. Michael Winslow transformed sirens, explosions, and mechanical noises into a unique comedy language, giving the franchise a creative spark that fans can still recognize after hearing only a single sound. Moses Hightower, towering, quiet, and far gentler than his imposing appearance suggested, became one of the Academy's strongest and most dependable cadets. Bubba Smith, 39 when the film was released, brought natural power, calm dignity, and enough warmth to make Hightower both intimidating and deeply likable. Before entering Hollywood, Bubba Smith enjoyed a successful professional football career and later appeared in movies, television shows, and commercials. He died in 2011 at the age of 66 from acute phentermine intoxication, with heart disease also contributing to his death. Hightower remains cherished because his strength was never defined by aggression alone. Bubba Smith gave the character patience, loyalty, and a gentle heart, creating a powerful screen presence that made audiences feel protected whenever he stood beside his fellow cadets. Laverne Hooks, soft-spoken, sweet-natured, and almost too timid for police work, became hilarious whenever her tiny voice suddenly turned into a commanding roar. Marion Ramsey, 36 when the film was released, brought warmth, precise comic timing, and enough hidden fire to make every outburst unforgettable. Marion Ramsey built a varied career across theater, television, music, and film, with memorable work both before and after the comedy franchise. She died in 2021 at the age of 73, leaving behind performances filled with kindness, personality, and a wonderfully distinctive voice. Hooks is still loved because her quiet nature concealed surprising courage and strength. Marion Ramsey turned that contrast into one of the series' most memorable jokes, while also giving the character genuine sweetness that continues to bring warmth and laughter to longtime fans. Eugene Tackleberry, intensely serious, wildly overarmed, and ready to treat every minor problem like a full-scale military operation, became an instant scene stealer in Police Academy. David Graf was 33 at the time, giving Tackleberry a straight-faced intensity that made his obsession with weapons even funnier. Graf kept busy with television roles in Seinfeld, The West Wing, and the Star Trek universe, while returning as Tackleberry throughout the film series. He died from a sudden heart attack in 2001 at just 50 years old while attending a family wedding in Arizona. Tackleberry still stands out because David Graf never treated him like he was in on the joke. That dead-serious commitment turned every oversized gun and over-the-top reaction into comedy gold, leaving fans with one of the franchise's loudest, craziest, and most lovable cadets. George Martin, smooth, stylish, and convinced he could charm his way through almost anything, brought a cool ladies' man energy to the Academy's collection of misfits. Andrew Rubin took on the role at 37, giving Martin enough confidence and swagger to make him feel completely at home in every flirtatious situation. Rubin later worked across film and television, with appearances in productions such as The Jeffersons, Casey's Shadow, and Joe Bash. He died from lung cancer in 2015 at the age of 69, leaving George Martin as the role most closely tied to his screen career. Martin remains fun to revisit because he brought a different flavor to the group. While the others relied on pranks, noise, or brute force, he leaned into pure charm. Andrew Rubin made that confidence feel playful rather than arrogant, giving the first film one of its smoothest comic personalities. The main bad guy, aggressive, unpredictable, and mean enough to turn a city riot into genuine danger, gave the cadets a threat they could finally unite against. Doug Lennox was 46 during the film's release year, bringing a rough-edged presence and enough menace to make the final showdown feel bigger than a simple comedy set piece. Lennox enjoyed a long career as a Canadian actor, writer, and radio personality, later appearing in projects including X-Men and Lars and The Real Girl. He died in his sleep in 2015 at the age of 77 after spending 5 decades working across entertainment and broadcasting. Though the character had little screen time, Lennox made every moment count. His intimidating face and gritty energy raised the stakes just when the story needed it, giving Mahoney and the cadets a memorable final challenge and helping the movie end with a satisfying burst of action and teamwork. Captain Reed, firm, level-headed, and far less interested in petty games than Lieutenant Harris, gave the Academy a welcome sense of authority. Ted Ross was 49 when he joined the cast, bringing a powerful voice, no-nonsense attitude, and the kind of presence that made every cadet straighten up fast. Ross was already a celebrated stage performer, winning a Tony Award for his unforgettable work as the Cowardly Lion in The Wiz. He later carried that role onto the big screen alongside Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. Ross died in 2002 at 68 following complications from a stroke. Captain Reed may not have chased the spotlight, but Ted Ross made him feel grounded, capable, and completely believable. His booming voice and natural authority helped balance the movie's craziness, leaving behind a character fans trusted whenever the Academy started spinning out of control. Violet Fackler, anxious, loyal, and hilariously caught between her husband's protests and the Academy's madness, added a sweet domestic twist to Police Academy. Deborah Lee Scott was 30 at the time, filling Violet with nervous energy, genuine affection, and reactions that made every awkward situation even funnier. Scott had already become a familiar television face through Mary Hartman, Welcome Back, Cotter, and Angie. Her warm, quirky screen presence made her a standout in 1970s comedy. She died in 2005 at the age of 52, with her family reporting natural causes. Violet remains memorable because she felt like a real person dropped into a completely ridiculous world. Deborah Lee Scott gave her vulnerability without making her weak, creating a funny and affectionate character whose worried expressions still bring a smile to longtime viewers. The Hooker, bold, playful, and completely unfazed by the Academy's most awkward assignment, delivered one of the film's cheekiest surprise appearances. Georgina Spelvin was 48 when audiences saw her in the role, bringing confidence, comic nerve, and a knowing smile that made the brief scene land perfectly. Spelvin came from a background in dance and Broadway, before becoming a major figure in adult cinema during the 1970s. She later stepped away from performing, worked in publishing, and released her autobiography. Today, at 90, she has long lived beyond the spotlight. Though her screen time was short, Spelvin gave the moment exactly the playful edge it needed. The cameo became part of the original movie's Anything Goes humor, proving that even a small role could leave fans laughing long after the scene was over. Chad Copeland, smug, immature, and far too pleased with himself, helped make Harris's side of the Academy even more annoying. Scott Thompson was 26 when the movie arrived, giving Copeland the perfect blend of cocky attitude, nervous energy, and comic foolishness whenever Mahoney turned the tables on him. Scott Thompson later appeared in films such as Twister, RoboCop, Jack Frost, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High, while also returning as Copeland in later Police Academy sequels. Now 68, he remains a familiar face to fans of classic 1980s comedy. Copeland was never meant to be the hero, and that was exactly why he worked so well. Thompson made him the kind of irritating cadet audiences loved watching get embarrassed, adding another layer of mischief to Mahoney's battle against Harris and his rule-loving crew. Mr. Wig, nervous, awkward, and caught in one of Mahoney's most outrageous pranks, became part of a scene that perfectly captured the movie's Anything Goes humor. Don Lake was 27 at the time, bringing quick reactions, comic discomfort, and the kind of straight-faced confusion that made the setup even funnier. Don Lake went on to build a busy career as an actor, writer, and producer, appearing in Hot Shots, Dumb and Dumber 2, Space Force, and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Today, he is 69 and continues to be known for sharp supporting performances and strong comic timing. Mr. Wig only appeared briefly, but the moment stuck because Lake sold every second of the embarrassment. His reaction gave the prank its punchline, proving that in Police Academy, even a small role could become part of the wild comic memory fans still enjoy. Chief Henry J. Hearst, stern, political, and deeply concerned with the Academy's reputation, represented the polished authority above Lassard and Harris. George R. Robertson was 50 when audiences first saw Hearst, bringing a serious tone, formal presence, and just enough exasperation to fit the surrounding chaos. Robertson built a screen career spanning nearly 5 decades, with appearances in Airport, Norma Ray, JFK, and 6 Police Academy films. He died in 2023 at the age of 89, leaving behind more than 80 acting credits as well as a respected humanitarian legacy. Hearst remains memorable because Robertson made the Academy feel like part of a much bigger institution. His polished authority gave the comedy something solid to push against, while his restrained frustration helped make the cadets' unruly behavior feel even more outrageous. Mrs. Thompson, wealthy, flirtatious, and clearly entertained by Mahoney's bold behavior, added a playful spark to one of Police Academy's cheekier moments. Joyce Gordon was 49 during filming, using a knowing smile and polished delivery to make the brief exchange feel naughty without pushing the joke too far. Joyce Gordon worked steadily in Canadian film and television, with credits including Hey Cinderella, Stay Tuned, and Billy Madison. She died in Toronto in 2008 at the age of 73, leaving behind a wide-ranging career filled with memorable supporting appearances. Mrs. Thompson had only a small part, but Gordon knew exactly how to make it count. Her amused confidence gave the scene its punch, creating the kind of quick, grown-up gag that helped define the original movie's loose, anything-can-happen sense of humor. The little old lady, seemingly harmless but unexpectedly fearless during the city riot, delivered one of the movie's funniest blink-and-you'll-miss-it surprises. Beth Amos was 68 at the time, using perfect deadpan timing and a sweet appearance to make her sudden burst of toughness land even harder. Beth Amos enjoyed a long career on Canadian stages and screens, appearing in The Incredible Journey, Prom Night, Bullies, and Canadian Bacon. She died from a heart attack in 1996, at the age of 80, while attending a theater matinee in Toronto. That tiny riot scene remains funny, because Amos completely flipped the audience's expectations. She turned an ordinary elderly bystander into a surprise scene stealer, proving that Police Academy could squeeze a memorable laugh from even the most unlikely character. Sidewalk store owner, irritated, suspicious, and in no mood for Mahoney's streetwise attitude, added a quick flash of tension to the film's opening chaos. Gary Farmer was 30 at the time, giving the small role a grounded, believable edge before the story shifted toward the Academy. Gary Farmer went on to earn acclaim in films such as Pow Wow Highway, Dead Man, and Smoke Signals, while later appearing in Reservation Dogs and Resident Alien. Today, at 73, the Cayuga actor and musician remains a respected voice in Indigenous film and television. Though the part lasted only a moment, Farmer's natural presence helped make the movie's city feel busy, unpredictable, and real. Looking back, the cameo is especially fun because fans can spot an actor who would later build a remarkable career full of depth, humor, and cultural impact. Tough, rough, confrontational, and ready to start trouble without much warning gave the city streets a harder edge before the cadets finally stepped up. Marco Bianco was 28 at the time, adding an intimidating look and raw physical energy that made the danger feel real beneath the comedy. Marco Bianco continued working as a supporting performer, taking on smaller character roles that relied on presence rather than long speeches. Today, he is 70, while his appearance in Police Academy remains one of the credits most recognizable to longtime fans of the film. Tough was never meant to dominate the story, but Bianco gave the scene exactly the grit it needed. His aggressive energy raised the stakes during the street chaos, making the cadets' courage and teamwork feel far more satisfying when they finally took control. Booking Sergeant, exhausted, short-tempered, and completely fed up with the noise filling his station, turned frustration into a sharp comedy moment. Roger Dunn was 28 when the movie was released, giving the officer a wonderfully irritated edge as Jones's sound effects pushed his patience past the limit. Roger Dunn later built a steady character acting career with appearances in The Dead Zone, Nightstick, and A Simple Favor. Currently 70, he is also known for voice work in the animated series Beetlejuice, showing a range that stretched well beyond this brief academy scene. Booking Sergeant remains memorable because Dunn reacted to the madness exactly like someone having the worst shift imaginable. His fed-up expression and deadpan delivery made Jones's prank even funnier, creating a quick moment fans still enjoy whenever they revisit the film. Karen Thompson, elegant, intelligent, and confident enough to see past Mahoney's reckless attitude, gave Police Academy a welcome touch of romance. Kim Cattrall was 27 at the time, bringing warmth, wit, and a polished screen presence that made Karen feel like far more than a simple love interest. Later became an international television icon as Samantha Jones in Sex and the City, earning major award recognition and a devoted global following. Now 69, she remains active on screen, with a career stretching across film, television, and theater for more than 5 decades. Karen is still remembered because she could match Mahoney's charm without ever being overshadowed by it. Cattrall gave the character confidence, humor, and genuine chemistry, leaving fans with a romantic pairing that added heart to the Academy's non-stop chaos. Thank you for watching. We hope this look back at the cast of Police Academy brought back great memories. Please share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us in the next video.